Sorry to everybody. First of all, I would like to thank you for your time. So I brought with me Mr. Caris, who is our cellar master for Cognac Ferrand and plantation rum. So he's going to tell you more about cognac and rum. So I wish you a nice presentation, and if you have any kind of question, please don't be shy. Ask to this guy. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. So, I'm very pleased to be here with you this evening. I'm not very used to do this kind of presentation. I'm more used to talk with barrels and people, I'm sorry. But I'm trying to a little bit tell you a little bit of the history of our job all year long in Cognac Ferrand. So we are going to start the presentation by talking about the cognac. So here is the... Tu peux passer juste celle où il y a la France avec, So this is Cognac region. As you can see, it is in the southwest of France, and it's close to the Atlantic Ocean. So you have the ocean influence to the climate. That is very important. Cognac Ferrand, it's only produced in Grand Champagne. So 100% of the grapes, 100% of the grapes are coming from this area. This area is very special because it has a special soil which is made of limestone chalk, which is from the Quartery area. This soil is very important for us because it's getting a big influence on the hydric system of the vine trees. Okay, so this means that the vine trees are going riper faster. The grape variety that we are using in cognac is called Uni Blanc. This is 95% of the grape variety. There are some other grape variety, Folle Blanche and Colombard, but those old grape varieties are less and less used every year. Now, at the moment, it's time for harvest. As we are talking just right now, we are about to begin the harvest next week. So, after the harvest, grapes are going to be pressed. It's going to give a juice, and this juice is going to be fermented by yeast. Okay? This is the kind of wine that, as you can see, the liquid is quite hazy because there is a lot of yeast remaining in this wine. To talk about just a little bit about techniques, the level of alcohol is very low. It's between 7 and 10% alcohol, which is compared to a wine that you are drinking every day. Yeah, some people are drinking wines every day. It's between 10 to 14% alcohol, and here it's 7 to 10% alcohol. It's very acidic. So this means that this kind of wine, you wouldn't like to drink it like this. But for making cognac, this is the quality, the standard quality that we are looking for. Because if we were using the same wine that you are drinking every day, it won't taste like a cognac. Tu peux dérouler. After the fermentation, the distillation process will occur. This is a double distillation process. So this means that the first distillation, we are going to distill the wine in so-called brouillis. Brouillis is a white liquid, very hazy, that is between 28 to 32% alcohol. At this stage, this is not really drinkable. It tastes a bit nasty, I must confess. But with this liquid, we are going to do a double distillation, the second distillation, where we are going to get the white spirit that will give in a few years a cognac. So how does the distillation work? We put the liquid in the burner on an open flame. Do you have an idea of what is the temperature that you can reach just above the copper? Because all this steel is made with copper. Okay? Do you have an idea of what is the temperature that you can reach on the first millimeter after the copper? Just to give you an idea, it's reached the temperature of 700 degrees Celsius. So it's a very high temperature. With this temperature and the copper, this will transform aromatic precursors. Sorry, it's a bit of chemical, but that is how does this occur. It will transform some aromatic precursors with copper and the energy coming from the temperature into aromatic molecules. So this is why cognac is so specific. It's because we are using this grape variety in this condition with this kind of pot still made with copper and on an open flame. Sorry. So then the second distillation is occurring. So you need 2 to 3 bouillies batch to make one cognac batch. Okay? So every year in the months of starting in November, we will do the first distillation. The first distillations are very important because we got different wine because of the different weather condition we have every year. It's not a vintage product, but the making of the cognac, as we do in Pierre Ferrand, is a vintage adjustment to the product. So we adjust the product to the vintage and we adjust the way we are making the cognac to the condition of the harvest and of the wine. So this means that for the first few batches we are tasting and selecting liter by liter to select the heads from the heart and then the heart from the tails. So we are 3 around the pot still and tasting every liter to know where we are going to cut, to do the cut between heads and heart and tails. Normally, many other companies are cutting as a standard at 60% alcohol. We are proceeding in a very different way at Cognac Ferrand because we think that to do craft products like ours, we need to have hands-on and to adapt ourselves to the product. So we are cutting also by tasting, and most of the time it's between 58% alcohol to 55% alcohol. So the question is why? Why are we doing that? Because in this segment you have a very interesting aromatic molecules that are fruity, that are flowery, and that are interesting for making Cognac Ferrand a product. You will see that when we will taste the amber, that it is remaining flowery and fruity because we have this kind of distillation techniques, which is quite unique. We have our own way to distill the cognac. So there is no other houses in cognac that are distilling the same way as we do. Thank you. Next one? Yeah, next one. So this is the aging process. After after the distillation process, we will do a first selection. I'm sorry to do this comparison, but it is the closest to the reality. You know that all people are different. They have different quality, and they have some of them are tall, some of them are short, etc., etc. And we have to do a selection in order to get batches that are homogeneous. So we are going to do a first tasting, and we are going to blend the first lot that are common together, and we are going to age them in wooden cask, in French Limousin wooden cask. Limousin, which is the region where the oak is coming from, is the forest next door to Cognac. It's 100 kilometers far from Cognac. So we are using this oak for tradition because it was the closest forest to the area of production. The Limousin oak has some characteristics that make it stand out. First of all, it has gross grain. What is a grain? The grain is the difference between two aging circles. So the bigger it is, the faster the tree grow. Okay? And the bigger is the grain, and the less it lets the oxygen from the ambient air get in the barrel. And the tighter is the grain, and the more oxygen you have. Why? Because when it's gross grain, you have fewer grains, fewer way to get the oxygen into the barrel. When you have more a tighter grain, you have much more porosity. So this means that the exchange is greater between the liquid and the oxygen from the air. This is very important because all the monitoring that we will do during the aging is going to have a big impact, a big influence on the quality of the final product. So to come back on the Limousin oak, as I told you, it's gross grain and it's high level of tannins. Tannins, is there anybody who knows what is tannins? There is tannins in many different other products. For instance, there is tannins in the coffee you're drinking in the morning. There is tannins also in the tea that you are drinking in the morning. So this gives to the product the velvety feeling on the mouth. Okay? So just to talk about, to finish to talk about the barrel process, we are working mostly with one cooperage company that really helped us to develop a special toasting techniques. So we have worked during 2 years with this cooperage company. We have done a big R&D research to make sure that the toasting techniques used is in line with the product that we want to achieve. So as I told you previously, we are adapting all the tools, all the techniques to the product that we want to make. Okay. So there is then once the liquid is in the barrels, there is two things that are important: is the level of humidity and the temperature that you have in the cellar. This is why we have dry cellar and humid cellar. The dry cellar will help to extract a lot of components from the oak into the cognac, and it will also decrease the level of alcohol very quickly, faster. On the other hand, you have humid cellar, which will bring water directly to the liquid. It is true, the volume won't move in the barrel, but the level of alcohol in the barrel will decrease with time. In the humid cellar, you get lesser extraction from oak to the liquid. So this means that during the aging process, a same liquid will move from a dry cellar to a humid cellar, and afterwards it can go back to a dry cellar, and maybe a few years afterwards go back to a humid cellar. It's like when you are in your car, when you're driving your car, it's like the brake, you know, and the gearbox. Or to speed up, you know, it's like you want to speed up and sometimes you want to brake. It's the same thing. So humid cellar is more like the brake, and the dry cellar is when you want to speed up the aging process a little bit. Think that during this aging process, we are losing about 3% of the volume of alcohol that we have distilled. So every year, we are losing 3%. So this means that after 70 years of aging, when you are comparing to the number of bottles of wine that you have produced, the equivalent, it will be 100 bottles of wine to get 1 bottle of cognac. So this is why also very old cognac are so expensive and very rare. It's because to make 1 bottle of this very single cognac, you need 100 times the same volume of wine. Blending process. So this part is the biggest part of my job. Is to taste during all the process from the wine until the final blending, to taste, to make selection. Okay, so my job is to select whether it is wine from the primary stages of the process, and also during the aging to select the cognac that can keep aging in the barrels and the one that has to be bottled. Because once again, it's the same thing with people. Unfortunately, we are not dying at the same age, and it's the same for cognac. There is no scientific reason, understandable reason to tell you why this kind of cognac or this one is going to age more. It's just happening like this, and the only way to know and to monitor it, to control it, is by tasting. And this is my job. My job is to know when a cognac is spiking in its aging process, and when it's going to decline. And of course, we are not using the cognac that are declining. We are using the cognac at the best age when they are spiking. So, for the final blending, non, tu peux, c'est ça. For the final blending, we are trying to get a product. Each batch has to be the same compared to the next one. And every year, and for the next 10 years and the next 20 years. So this is maybe from a consumer perspective, what is the most simple thing to do, but I can tell you that it's the hardest part of the job. Is to make. I have to make the same product that the people before me were doing, and I have to make the cognac in order that the people that are going to use the cognac that I made in 20 or 30 years will be able to make the same product. So Cellar Master is really working the 3 dimensions of time. We are working with the past because we are using the cognac that our predecessors had made. Then we have to distill the cognac every year, and also we have to think about the future, think about the people that are going to use the cognac that we have distilled. So it will be so cool, you know, to be able to not to think about the people of the next generation, only to use just for you the best cognac. You know, it would be good for the ego. You know, we will use only the very old things and not keep a little bit of those old things for our successors. But no, we have to manage our cellar. So this means that we have to, we are the guarantee that the brand and the quality of the brand will sustain and will remain. So, just to sum up on the Pierre Ferrand brand, we are 100% Grand Champagne. We are located in the best area of this Grand Champagne. C'est bon, up. Next. As I told you, we have hands on the making of the product. This means that for all the process, we made research, we understand what we are doing, and we do it in a different way compared to the other, because we are doing a different product from the others. Do you have any question? No? Wonderful.
We need to taste.
Yeah.
Now we need to taste, exactly.